lazy about these things, is a sinner. And one who persists in this attitude and does not repent is liable for execution. The author of Al-Mughni 9 writes, one of the beliefs of the Khawarij is that they consider many companions of the Prophet and companions of companions to be infidels. They consider killing them and usurping their property to be lawful and believe that as a result of killing them they acquire proximity to Allah. Despite these beliefs of theirs, jurists do not consider them to be infidels, because it is argued that they performed ijtihad in what they say. On this basis, they are like those who consider Shias to be infidels and similar to the Khawarij, who consider some companions and companions of companions to be infidels and hold that their killing is lawful for the pleasure of Allah, and that though they are not infidels, they have certainly erred. Muhammad ibn Abd al-Wahhab and Ibn Taymiyyah were also accused of heresy. Ibn Taymiyyah was imprisoned on account of his beliefs, and he died in prison. All al-Sunnah have said before, and they still say that the Wahhabi cult is heretical and has no connection with Islam. The views of Ibn Taymiyyah are contrary to those of the scholars of the Salaf, 10 the pre-Caliph 11 and post-Caliph after the 5th century, although he claimed himself to be the trustee of the Salafi Salihin. The ulama of al-Sunnah had rebutted the views of Ibn Taymiyyah and pronounced him to be an infidel. Wahhabism is based on the views of Ibn Taymiyyah and its followers are busy only in propagating his ideas. In the present age, the Saudi government is in the forefront in spreading the ideology of Ibn Taymiyyah and spends millions of riyals every year for this goal. Ibrahim Pasha. Like Shias, Wahhabis have also suffered persecutions because of their beliefs. They have also been killed. Pierre Courbedis writes in his book, Ibrahim Pasha 12. When Ibrahim Pasha defeated the Saudis, conquered their cities, and arrived in their capital Daraya, all Saudi commanders surrendered to him. He summoned the Wahhabi ulama, about 500 of them, and said to them, a delegation from among you will accompany me to Cairo and hold discussions with Sunni scholars to clarify the differences between your beliefs and those of the Sunnis. As ordered by Ibrahim, representatives of the two groups held discussions for 3 days and brought to light the differences between the two schools. During these 3 days, Ibrahim sat quietly and did not even go to sleep. On the 4th day he brought the discussion to an end and asked the head of the Wahhabis, do you believe that Allah is one and the true faith is one and that your faith is the only true one? The sheikh replied in the affirmative. Pasha said, you swine, what is your belief about paradise and its breadth? The sheikh replied, it is like the breadth of the sky and the earth, and it has been made ready for the virtuous. Ibrahim said, if paradise is so spacious, you and your followers will stay under the shade of one tree. Then what is the remaining area for, and why has Allah created such a big paradise? The sheikh and his followers cast down their heads in defeat. Ibrahim Pasha ordered his soldiers to cut off their heads. Followers of different religions pursue their religious obligations every time and in every place till an impediment emerges, and they have a special entity in the governmental organization. However, such a position does not exist in the Saudi government because contrary to the expectations of Shias, who do not interfere with the affairs of the people and the policies of the state, they are prohibited from performing many of their religious rites. We all know that the policy of hatred, intrigue, and bloodshed is about to end, and the sun of freedom of opinion and faith is about to rise. Indeed, only that government, which is anxious for the well-being, security, and comfort of all the citizens of the state will survive. Someone has truly said that an illegitimate government is temporary whereas a true government lasts forever. 1. In New York. 2. The Rub' Khali is the sand desert encompassing most of the southern third of the Arabian Peninsula. The desert covers an area of some 650,000 square kilometers. Note of al-islam.org. 3. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal says, I am afraid of the fact that the testimony of a Bedouin should not be accepted against a villager. Mizan ash-Shirani, Chapter of Witnessing, Al-Mughni, Volume 9, pg. 67. Al-Mughni is a reliable book of the Hanbalis. 4. It is now 100 years. 5. It was during the War of Algerian Independence. After the Algerian independence from France in 1962, Ahmed Ben Bella became the first Prime Minister of Algeria. Alas, Palestine has still not gained independence from the clutches of the Jews. And it is attacked every day by Israel. But the Intifada movement of brave Palestinians still continues. 6. In order to propagate Wahhabism, they are sending millions of rials as donation and free Wahhabi literature to various Islamic organizations, mosques and madrasas all over the world. 7. Meaning, there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his prophet. 8. Rida Aslan, the author of No God But God, writes in the chapter of An Awakening in the East. The facts of the alliance between Ibn Saud and Abd al-Wahhab have given way to legend. The two men first met as Abd al-Wahhab and his disciples were tearing through the Arabian Peninsula, demolishing tombs, cutting down sacred trees, and massacring any Muslim who did not accept their uncompromising, puritanical vision of Islam. They were expelled from an oasis where they had received shelter. The horrified villagers demanded that Abd al-Wahhab leave after he publicly stoned a woman to death. They later made their way towards the oasis of Daraya. Its sheikh, Muhammad ibn Saud, who was more than happy to give Abd al-Wahhab and his holy warriors his unconditional protection. This oasis is yours, Ibn Saud promised. Do not fear your enemies. Abd al-Wahhab replied with an unusual demand. I want you to grant me an oath, he said, that you will perform jihad against the unbelievers non-Wahhabi Muslims. In return you will be the leader of the Muslim community, and I will be the leader in religious matters. Ibn Saud agreed, and an alliance was formed that would not only alter the course of the Islamic history but would also change the geopolitical balance of the world. Abd al-Wahhab's holy warriors burst into the Hijaz, conquering Mecca and Medina, and expelling the Sharif. Once established in the holy cities, they set about destroying the tombs of the Prophet and his companions, including those pilgrimage sites that marked the birthplace of Muhammad and his family. They sacked the treasury of the Prophet's mosque in Medina and set fire to every book they could find, save the Quran. They banned music and flowers from the sacred cities and outlawed tobacco smoking and drinking of coffee. With death penalty, they forced the men to grow beards and the women to be veiled and secluded. The Wahhabis deliberately connected their movement with the first extremists in the Muslim world, the Kharijites, and like their fanatical predecessors, they focused their wrath inward against what they considered to be the failings of the Muslim community. Thus, with Hijaz firmly under their control, they marched north to spread the message to the Sufi and Shiite infidels. In 1802, on the holy day of Ashura, they scaled the walls of Karbala and massacred 2,000 Shiite worshippers as the latter were commemorating Muharram. In an uncontrolled rage, they smashed the tombs of Ali, Hussein, and the Imams, giving particular vent to their anger at the tomb of the Prophet's daughter, Fatima. With Karbala sacked, the Wahhabis turned north toward Mesopotamia and the heart of the Ottoman Empire. Only then did they get the attention of the Caliph. In 1818, the Egyptian Khedive, Muhammad Ali 1769–1849, at the behest of the Ottoman Caliph, sent a massive contingent of heavily armed soldiers into the peninsula. The Egyptian army easily overwhelmed the ill-equipped and poorly trained Wahhabis. Mecca and Medina were once again placed under the care of the Sharif and the Wahhabis were forcefully sent back into the Najd. By the time the Egyptian troops withdrew, the Saudis had learned a valuable lesson. They could not take on the Ottoman Empire on their own. They needed a far stronger alliance than the one they had with the Wahhabis. The opportunity to form just such an alliance